Hi everyone, Chris here from the Army team. I'm here today to show you how to do tubeless tyres in the first of our tech tip videos. So I've had a few of the team riders asking me about how to do tubeless, and a couple of the guys I ride with back home. So I figured do a video, everyone can benefit from it. So what you're going to need to do go tubeless is you're going to need to get some tubeless valves. So if you buy them from your local bike shop or offline, sometimes you get a little valve core remover with them, which is a useful little tool. You can just use a set of pliers though if you don't get one with your set you get. Alternatively, if you've got a couple of old tubes laid around, what you can do is chop the valve off them, providing you leave enough rubber at the top of the valve so it doesn't get pulled through the rim. You need a rim tape. The stuff like the Stan's No Tubes rim tape is pretty good. I use Gorilla tape, which is like a duct tape, and that's done me fine. Tubeless sealant. There are quite a few brands around, it depends on which one you fancy. Personally I use the Stan's No Tube stuff. Decent track pump. This one's really good, it's got a built-in air tank. You can use a compressor though, and there's things like the Schwabel air shots are also amazing bits of kit as well for doing tubeless. So starting off, first thing you need to do is you need to check that your rim's clean. If there's any dirt on the rim, what it's going to do is it's going to stop the tape sticking. So give it a good clean off, make sure it's dry, there's no grease or anything like that on there. Luckily these wheels are brand new from Hope, so you know, definitely clean. Then identify where your valve goes. So I will start the rim tape at the other side to where the valve goes, just to be certain that there's no way it can rip in easily. So you can start pretty much where you want, but they advise to stay away from where your valve goes through. So taking your rim tape, what you need to do here is keep it as tight as possible. So once you're down, make sure you get a good seal on it, pushing it down into the rim, and make sure there's no little bits where the sealant will be able to leak out of. Because if you've got any big rips in there or big bubbles in there, it's just not going to work. You're going to have all sorts of dramas. So keep it nice and tight the whole way around the rim. So when you get round, what you need to do is you need to leave quite a bit of overlap, a minimum of like 10 to 15 centimetres. When I first started doing tubeless, I used to put 2 layers on. The last set of wheels I did, I only put the one on and it worked fine. So as long as you've got a decent overlap, you should be okay. Then once you get your rim tape on, just go around it, pushing it down onto the rim, again making sure it's seated really well and there's no big bubbles in there, there's any cracks where it can seep through. Right, next you need to identify where your valve's going to go. So you need to make a little tiny hole for the valve. So I've seen people using knives, things like that, but what you need to do is make it so the hole is just smaller than what the valve is. This way it keeps a really tight seal and stops any stuff from leaking out. So one of the best things I found to use was a tiny little torque bolt. So taking the valve where the hole is, push it down to identify it with your finger just to make sure you get the right spot. And when you've got the right place, just make a little hole in the centre of where the valve needs to go. So you can see there, it's a nice small little one. Take your valve and push it through the hole. Now what you'll find is it'll be really tight to get through, but that's a good thing because it'll stop any sealant leaking out. Take your little washer nut, screw that on. So I find if you push it down with your thumb on top of the valve, it goes in a little bit further and helps you get that little bit tight. And all that does is it pulls down and keeps the rubber nice and tight against the rim, so you've got a good seal. Right, next, you get your tyre on. Right, that was quite a tight tyre to get on, but it's always a good thing because all it means is if it's a tight fit around the rim, it just makes the seal so much easier to find. Right, next what you got to do is you got to get the tubeless sealant into your valves. So one way you can do it is leaving a little bit of a gap in the tyre and just pouring your sealant in. It should tell you how much you need on the bottle. A couple of brands might vary, but it's all about the same. The other way of doing it is to put the sealant through the valve. So using your valve core remover or a set of pliers, remove the valve. So I've seen people using syringes that have got little hoses on to push it through the valve, which is a good way. Alternatively, some of the kits you get comes with a little bottle like this, which has the right amount of sealant in. The tricky bit is not getting it everywhere when you get it onto the wheel. So then just slowly put the sealant into the tyre. Try not to get it everywhere. Okay, so once you got the sealant in, next is you've got to get the tyre onto the bead. So you can either put your valve core back in now, but I've found that if you're using these valves, that sometimes when you put the valve core back in, it slows the rate the air goes in and it makes it a little bit harder to get the tyre to sit properly on the rim. Right, okay, so I've got the pump ready to go. So you pop the clamp on, and then what you need to do here is get ready to pump, because if the tyre doesn't go on first time round, you might need to give it a few more blows just to get it to go up again. So you fire the air in and then keep blowing. Now what you might hear is a couple of loud pops as the bead goes onto the rim. So there, that's seated pretty well. So you can't really hear any hissing or anything like that. Seems to have sat on alright. So now what you need to do is get the valve core back in. So one way I find here, to save you blowing it up twice, is when you take the pump off, just get your finger across and then get the valve core screwed back in as quickly as possible. Okay, so if you didn't do that quick enough, what you might have to do is re-pop the bead back onto the rim. But again, it should be easy enough if it's already been on there once, because it'll have seated quite well. So if you've got the tyre blown up, now it's time just to make sure that there's no extra little leaks or where air is seeking out. So what I do is I spin the wheel around to help get the sealant everywhere. Taking it round the middle first, just a few rotations around on the side, and then on the other side. And again, here you might see sealant leaking out. Don't be alarmed by it. It's normal for it to happen. If you're still finding the air's leaking out after that and you can hear it hissing, another way of doing it is by picking the wheel up and giving it a little bit of a shake where you can hear it coming out of. And just going around the wheel doing that will make sure you get a good seal right the way around the rim. What I'd then do is blow it up, leave it overnight, especially if you don't need to ride in it that day. Maybe leave it with like 40 psi and something like that just to make sure it seats really well. You might come back, you might have lost a bit of psi in the morning or something like that. Just blow it up again. Next few rides, just make sure it's alright. If you need to add more sealant in, if you find it's like still leaking out quite often, just add a bit more sealant in and you should be alright. But I hope this video has been useful for you, and look forward to our next video. Cheers, thanks a lot guys.